Good morning YouTube and welcome back to another video where today you join me on the M25 on our way down to Rye House. It's currently 5 in the morning, we've still got another 88 miles to get there. But yeah, so today we're doing Rhpk. It's our first Rhpk race we're ever going to be doing. I've been wanting to do an Rhpk race for a while now, so it's going to be good to actually get out on there. So me and channel legend Rhpk Zachary has formed a team under Has to Be Fast, and it's raining. Yeah, it's raining. It's going to be raining all day by the looks of it on the forecast, so it's going to be interesting. Well, it's going to be an interesting day. It's going to be a fun one. Hopefully it's going to be all day pretty much. So from what I'm aware, we've got 2 morning practice sessions. We've got F1 shootout qualifying, F1 style qualifying, so Q3, Q2, Q1, so most of, you know, the qualifying get knocked out. And then we've got a 4-hour race with 3 pit stops, a dummy, a fuel stop and a drive change from what I believe. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. It's definitely, I'm very tired. I didn't have the greatest of sleep last night, because I haven't really got a camera person with me today, unfortunately. I'm going to go with this GoPro view for some of it, maybe get a bit more of a raw feel, a bit more of a vlog type video instead of like, you know, actual presentation video. But I hope you enjoy this slight style change. But let's make our way down to Rye House and I'll see you down there. Just turns out we never had any oil, so I just have to quickly make a trip to Tesco, get some 5W20. We really need the 0W20, but this is what happens when you don't prepare. Here we go then, Rye House. Here she is. Track looks pretty dry in a minute, to be fair. I'd say it's not really raining that much on the way down, to be fair. So yeah, interesting one. Will it rain before practice? That's the question. That's 5W40 by the way. No, sorry, 5W20, sorry.
We'll mix some oil, sorry. We'll mix some off, yeah.
Yeah, go on Zach, you work it.
Oh, you doing your camera already? Fucking the chain fucking... Oh.
Cool.
No, chain not straight anymore.
No, that's not, is it?
That's not straight.
It's just going off a bit, you know, nothing much. Oh, do you hear the sound of that, Zach? That sounds like rain to me. Oh, that's a lot of rain, that is. Oh, that's wet now. Oh, so not yet. Probably not yet. Probably not yet, but that's definitely...
That's definitely a wet day.
It's definitely a wet day. Right on guys, quick update. It's about 8:30 now. Track's open. It's starting to rain. It was looking very dry, which is a bit worrying. But rain's coming down now. We had a bit of a problem with the chain, so yeah, couldn't quite get out as soon as we wanted. But yeah, everything's sorted now after that mad rush round. So I'm just gonna get it changed. Gonna get down to Weybridge, we've signed on. Let's get some practice. But before we get to practice, I just want to explain a couple of things. So you would have heard throughout the intro part of the video that I'm on about it raining and not raining. That's because in order to save a little bit of money, me and Zach had only bought wet weather tyres for the day, for the race. So the forecast the week before the race had said it was going to be raining all day, all night. Well, we've been looking at that constantly before the race, and it was just rain. Whether that happens or not, you'll have to find out. But like it is now anyway, it's raining, so we're on the perfect tyre for the moment. And unfortunately, even though Zach was a hero and bolted up the Kart the night before, we did have a few problems with the engine. So we missed about 3/4 of the first practice, which isn't ideal. But I'm going to leave you now with the last 15 minutes of practice, so let's get to it. So after a few laps then, we bring the car in, and the plan was to give it to Zach, but as you'll hear here...
Jump back in, portion bar, test it out. I'll get 6 minutes.
So he wants me to jump back in the car, he wants to try out this torsion bar to hopefully stiffen up the front end, give us a bit more feel for the front tyres, which is really what we need in these very wet conditions. Car did feel a bit loose to begin with, but like I said, I'm just getting used to the car for now. So it'd be interesting to try out this torsion bar. And Zach's basically telling me to go to the checkered flag, as you can probably slightly hear him. So yeah, the plan was to put him in, but he's telling me to go to the end, try the torsion bar out, give a direct feel from no torsion bar to torsion bar. So we've come out then for the last few laps of practice 1, and straight away we're going to get overtaken by a few karts, but really this is going to be much better than me just trying to basically stay ahead, especially during practice, because I'm not really used to the track in these wet conditions. I've done a bit of the 160s in the dry, but not in the wet, so it's interesting to see everyone else's different lines. As you can see ahead of these 3 karts, 2 pro and 1 clubman, they're all using different lines, but yet they're all getting away, so it's interesting to see, you know, what lines they're taking, hopefully learn from that to try and help my racing lines come the race. But then I almost go back into the back of 77 there, with a bit of a close call, but get to the end of that lap. As you can see, he's using very wide lines going into the last set of corners, and as we're on the main straight, can't quite get the full track of the exit, so maybe that's why he's pulling away a bit. But we do get the overtake done come the first corner in stadium, so we're not the slowest out there, but as you'll see, just fast forwarding pretty much now. I'm just getting used to the car, getting used to the track, getting used to the conditions, and getting used to the tyres. I'm just getting used to it all, trying to take it all in, trying to learn the lines that I've watched everyone else take, see what's better, see what's working, see what's not, trying to get these times down. As you can see, I get overtaken there by the number 1 car in Super Pro. Yeah, it's just learning the lines, learning everything. And as we get to the last lap here, so we'll see the checkered flag coming out. The torsion bar worked well, I was happy with it. There's the checkered flag. And yeah, so that's practice 1 done. Practice 2, Zach's going to take a lot of it, but I am going to...
Way better.
Yeah, it's me just telling me, Zach, that it works well. Yeah, Zach's going to take a lot of practice 2, but we are going to get to practice... I am going to do some practice 2 runs, so we'll get to that.
Way better. Way better.
So coming into practice 2 then, you can probably tell it's a lot more wetter out on track than it was in practice 1. We are behind Kart 26 ahead, and as we come down the main straight, you can literally see nothing. It is that bad out there. So I wish I had the cam box on for this, as you could really see what you basically can't see. I was saving the cam box for qualifying in the race just to save the battery. In this midsection, it's not too bad with visibility when you're behind the car. As you go around corners, you're not as quick. But down that main straight, you cannot see a thing, and that's the big talking point about this practice session. If it's like this during qualifying in the race, especially during qualifying, then probably have to give a bit of a gap, because the only marker you've got really is your car ahead. But we'll skip forward a few laps. Kart 26 there gets a bit oversteery coming out of stadium, which allows us to catch up a little bit. Coming into hairpin 1 then, Kart 26 once again gets a little bit oversteery, so we're going to try on the outside of hairpin 2. It's not going to go around the inside. Kart 26 lets us pass, but because we get the inside and the really slippery rubber, we can't get that traction coming out the corner, so the 26 slips on by again. But if we skip forward another lap, we're pretty much going to try the same thing. So we're going to use the inside line there and try and get a bit more traction, a bit more throttle control. We can see we caught up a little bit, but we are practicing sort of using that inside line without slamming the throttle basically. But yeah, nothing really happened in practice 2. As I put my hand up, basically to give the kart back to Zach so he can get as much practice in as he can. So he gave me a lot of practice during the first practice session. But before I give it to Zach, I'm just going to go to the weighbridge. So the weight limit is 185. We're pretty much gone off fuel at this point. I've come into the weighbridge, I'm weighing at 195.5. So currently in this trim I'm 10 kilogram overweight. Not great, especially with full fuel coming into qualifying. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm massively overweight, but we'll see how we get on. Bit of pit stop practice here. Push kart Zach to the end of the pit lane. Try and get the engines going. Bit slow, but practice is what you need. So let's get to qualifying. Come on guys, that's my practice over. Yeah, it's very, very wet out there. It's a shame I've not got the cam box on at the minute because I'm going to save up qualifying in the race just to really see what you can see. But it's treacherous out there. But yeah, it's not too bad so far. Not the quickest out there, out of the Cummins, but not the slowest. Which is an important bit. Pulled in a 49.2, which is not too bad. I like to have seen the 48s. But like I say, we've still got qualifying, we've still got the race yet. But obviously every little second counts in endurance racing. But yeah, Zach's currently out to finish off practice. Then we're going to go into qualifying. Then we've got the race. So yeah, let's crack on with qualifying and we'll get straight into the race. Yeah, let's get to it. And so here we go then, the first set of qualifying. So it's 10 minutes qualifying 1. I'm not expecting to get through this at all. Like I say, first Rhpk race, first time really at Rye House in the wet properly. But I'm not going to bore you with it too much, as obviously we watched a lot of practice already. Yeah, couldn't quite get out of here, but we eventually get out after being let through from kart 26. Like I say, again, the track is a lot more wetter than it was in practice 2. So that's a big thing to sort of look out for, as I'm going to demonstrate just here. As we come around stadium on the second lap, there's a big puddle on the inside, inside of the curb there. But like I said, I'm not going to bore you too much with what happened really in practice. There's not really anyone around. So let's go for a quick lap, the flying lap of the qualifying 1. Go through the start finish into stadium, as what you want to do is let the kart go really wide here, and you want to straighten out as much as you can coming out of stadium. As we come into hairpin 1, we're pretty much using a dry line. Don't use the outside of the curb there, because there is a lot of standing water, but using a dry line into hairpin 1. Coming into hairpin 2, you don't want to go all the way to the outside, but you still want to use the inside line, as it's really slippy on the inside, so you want to keep as much traction as you can, use a bit of throttle control. Coming into pylon then, you really want to use the inside of this curb. You want to use a lot more curb than that really. Could have used more curb, but you want to use the inside white curb there as well. Coming into the middle and got the last 2 corners here. Try and use the inside of the curb if you can, so let the kart spin round. That is a lap of Rye House in the wet, which this time is a 48.66. So how will that do for the qualifying? Where did we come? Coming to the weighbridge then, we do, we're 198.5, 13 kilograms over. But like here, we're either going to get sent left if we get to qualifying 2, we're going to get sent right for out. And we get sent left, so we are in qualifying 2, which is what we like to see. I wasn't actually expecting it at all. I was expecting to be, knocked out qualifying 1. But we're on qualifying 2 then, so we've got 8 minutes this time. And once again, I'm not going to bore you with what happens. So I'm just going to leave you with an unnarrated lap on qualifying 2. There it is, another 48.66 lap. Yeah, weird to get the exact same lap time in qualifying 2 as well. Is this going to be good enough for qualifying 3? No, of course it isn't. We're out of qualifying 2 then, so we qualified 18th overall, which ain't too bad. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to get into qualifying 2, so I'm happy with that. So we've still got a 4-hour race to go, so let's get to the race and let's see what happens. So here we go then, start of the 4-hour race, and it is still soaked through on the track. Slow rolling start to a green light after 3 false starts, I think it was. Oh, so we're not going to include them though. So Zach actually gets us to a really good start as he jumps a couple of people at the start, takes advantage of obviously the absolute chaos that I'd imagine it'd be like at the start of one of these races. But unfortunately, a few laps later, so about half an hour into the race now, he does start falling back in the clubman class. It wasn't later on until we found out, well, I found out that it was a problem with the engines, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Right now though, it has stopped raining, and unfortunately a dry line has started to form. Like I said earlier, you know, we've got no slicks at all, so this is exactly what we don't want to see at all. And so we get to about an hour and a half into the race now. An hour 35 into the race, and there's a dry line forming now. Yeah, like I say, there's a dry line forming now. It's really not what we want at all. As like I said, we've got no slicks. The only tyres we've got is them wets. But about 2.5 hours into the race now, I bring the board out to bring Zach in, as he's done his 2 stints. As Zach was doing 2 stints, I was doing the 1, as we're only a 2-man team. As I go to fuel up for the 2nd time of the race, so that this should do me to the end of the race now. Take all the weights out, as Zach's quite a bit of weight to bring him up to weight. So not the ideal situation for a team, but you know, it means Zach just really wants seat time, practice in the race. Turn the engines on, and if you don't know, you have to turn the engines off at the start of the pit lane. You have to turn them back on at the end, just for safety reasons. But here we go then, as you can see, the track is pretty much dry. We're an hour and a half, 2.5 hours into the race, hour and a half left. Yeah, track's just completely dry. We're still on wet, like I said, we've got no slicks. And if you listen here, this is where I do find out what is wrong with the kart. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that properly. If we switch to the cam box, you'll be able to hear it a lot easier here. You can hear like a chirping sound, so we believe that's like either a really loose chain or a slipping clutch, but it's really down on power. Oh, this is no power in it. And yeah, and I pick that up straight away. Say this is the first lap, this is the 2nd lap now. They get absolutely destroyed by everyone else. Yeah, you just tell straight away the car just doesn't have any power in it. Even if we did have slicks, you know, there's just no power. As we get that 10 minutes later on now, so about an hour and 20 left of the race, and that front left tyre is being destroyed. It is literally turning into a slick as we talk. As you can just see, rubber flying off the tyre. So this is just not ideal at all. Not only has the car got no power in it, it's also, well, we're now turning wet tyres into slicks. So even if me and Zach were to do future races in the rain, we'll have to find another pair of wets now, because these sets have just been absolutely destroyed. And like I say, here we go again, just being absolutely destroyed by absolutely everyone. Even everyone in clubman class. You can see the green plates there, that just signifies that they are in a clubman class. And we're just being ruined now. And another 10 minutes later, it has started to try and rain, but absolutely nowhere near what me and Zach would want. And the front left is still being absolutely muddied and it's being turned into a slick. So it'd be nice if once all the tread had gone, it would turn into a slick. But unfortunately, it's just not how it works. At this point, I'm just waiting for that tyre to be absolutely. I'm just waiting for it to either blow up pretty much. But as we get to again, we're just getting dough taken again. This ends up being the last lap of the race. Try to turn into stadium here, and the kart just does not want to respond at all. At this point, the kart doesn't want to turn. It's becoming dangerous now. I'm feeling like every lap I'm just scared that it's literally going to blow up and it's going to go straight into a wall. I'm not scared but worried. I don't think it's really worth it considering the lack of power we've got anyway. There's no really point of being out here. It just feels like being a sitting duck. So I put my hand up, I'll just bring her into the pits. Like I say, unfortunately, it's racing. We should have bought some slicks to prepare. And B, say the engine problems. Oh, it's just unfortunate. But yeah, even here, once I've brought it in, I'm just taking rubber off the hub. yeah, it's just not nice at all. But as we see Zach there, mate, it's not even turning at this point. It's not even turning at this point. Just telling him we might as well stop at this point. He suggests try and put more wets on that everyone else has used, but yeah, we'll just call it. That's the race, unfortunately. Didn't finish. I mean, yeah, let's just get to the outro. Let's debrief the race. It's not what I wanted, but yeah, let's get back to the Yaris. Let's go on the drive home. Let's just debrief. And there we go then, YouTube. That was the Rhpk experience. Definitely not the experience we wanted, really, especially for my debut race. Yeah, so obviously qualified in 18th, so got to qualified Q2 in the F1 shootout, which I'm quite surprised at. I think I did 16th in that one, considering I'm about 13 kg overweight with a full load of fuel. He's having a week. And yeah, then come the race, Zach started, got to jump on a couple of people and then started falling back. But then he really started falling back. Yeah, at this point I was like, oh, there's got to be a problem somewhere. So he's really falling back. Then the track started drying up, which we didn't prepare for at all. That is our fault, that's mine and Zach's fault. We didn't get any slicks for the race because we thought, like I said, the weather reports all week were saying wet. Yeah, we didn't buy any slicks, so we just had wets. And yeah, come back the last hour. I think it was about an hour running of them wets, and I'll put the picture here. Yeah, it's just, the wets have just been completely demolished. There's nothing we could do about it. The clutch was slipping quite badly as well, which is the problem that we thought Zach would have had. Yeah, so when I went out into the car, yeah, there was just no power coming out of the hairpins, just no power in it at all. So yeah, we retired the car. There's no point in continuing. Just getting absolutely we're just getting absolutely dogged out there. This wasn't a fun experience really. Like I said, we should have had some six of us, but we didn't. And then some after drama things happened, which I won't explain in this video, which put a bit of a dull moment on the old experience. Yeah, interesting one. But yeah, thank you very much for watching YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a fun one to begin with. Then yeah, come the race, just wasn't a fun race. But yeah, that's the Rhpk virginity out of the way with. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm not sure what the next video will be, but hope you stick around for it. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching YouTube. I'll see you in the next one.